Very good morning, cadets. We are dealing chapter Nationalism in India. The last few video sessions we discussed about Khilafat movement, non-cooperation movement. We also discussed about World War I and how World War I and its impact on British economy. Later we studied in detail about the non-cooperation movement. Last class I explained about the Bega Sannyasi movement started by Baba Ramachandra. So Baba Ramachandra started Sannyasi movement. It is called a Sannyasi movement because it started by Baba Ramachandra. The movement was against talukdars for the Begar system. So the movement was against the Begar system. What is called Begar? Begar is nothing but forced labor is called Begar. So Baba Ramachandra started a movement against the forced labor or unpaid labor. Why it is called a Sannyasi movement? Because it is started by the Baba Ramachandra was Sannyasi. So what was their demand? The main demand of the Begar movement was reduction of land revenue, abolition of Begar system, social boycott of landlords. So several other aspects they mainly demanded. Okay. In 1920s, the Dhobi or washerman and Dhobi, they also led a movement, and in June 1920 Nehru began going around the village of Awadh, taking village and trying to understand their grievance. So Nehru started an organization called Awadh Kisan Sabha. Okay. So Awadh Kisan Sabha was started by Nehru. Baba Ramachandra and few others supported Awadh Kisan Sabha year 1920. Within a month, nearly 300 branches of Awadh Kisan Sabha started. So, when non-cooperation began the following years, the effort of Congress to integrate Awadh peasant struggle into wider struggle. So, when Mahatma Gandhi was leading the non-cooperation movement, simultaneously Nehru was organizing farmers or peasants by establishing cooperative societies or Awadh Kisan Sabha, and nearly 300 branches of Awadh Kisan Sabha, and with the help of this Awadh Kisan Sabha they started leading movement against the British. The peasant movement however developed in forms so that the Congress leadership was unhappy with this. As the movement spread in 1921, the house of talukdars and merchants were attacked. Bazaars were looted, grain hoards were taken over. In many places, local leaders told peasants that Gandhiji had declared that no taxes were to be paid and land was to be redistributed among the poor. The name of Mahatma was being invoked, the sanction of all actions and inspiration. So, this entire paragraph explains that non-cooperation movement was not understood same by all the people. Non-cooperation was different in taluks, non-cooperation movement was different in towns, it was different in Awadh. So, non-cooperation movement led by Mahatma Gandhi. The very intention of Mahatma Gandhi was leading non-cooperation movement with non-violence. But here you can see the bazaars were looted, grains were taken. So slowly the non-cooperation movement slowly started turning into violence movement. That's the reason why later Gandhiji decided to withdraw the non-cooperation movement. So what do you mean by Begar? Labor that villages were forced to contribute without payment. That is called Begar system. Okay. Now what happened in the forest areas? Tribal peasants interpreted the message of Mahatma Gandhi, the idea of Swaraj, in different way. So we studied about Swaraj in the towns and we all studied Swaraj in Awadh. Now what the tribal people understood about the concept of Swaraj or message of Swaraj by Mahatma Gandhi. In the Gudem hills of Andhra Pradesh, a militant guerrilla movement spread in the early 20s. So guerrilla movement means a commando type of warfare, attacking an opponent by giving him less time for his reaction. So this guerrilla movement was started by early 1920s in Gudem hills of Andhra Pradesh. This is not a form of struggle Congress could approve. Because why the Congress did not approve this struggle? Because this is the struggle involved in a violent method. Here is other forest region. The colonial forester closed larger areas, preventing people from entering and grazing the cattle. Why the forest dwellers protested against the British? Forest dwellers protected against the British because you may be studied in the class 9th that British passed Forest Acts. The Forest Acts of the British were mainly responsible for stopping Indians from entering into the forest for grazing of their cattle, because you know very well the cattle were grazed in the deep forest. So now British banned grazing of cattle. They also banned the collection of fuel wood and fruits. So the very livelihood of people were taken, because collection of cattle, the collection of fuel wood or fruits and selling of forest products was a source of livelihood to the tribal people. Now these tribal people were denied of their rights, so naturally they were angry about the British. Not only their livelihood was affected, they felt that the traditional rights were being denied. So they felt that it is their right, because they always felt that forest is a property belongs to them. So when they felt the forest as a property which belongs to them, they felt that the right of entering into forest is stopped. That means it is denied the right. That is what they felt. When the government began forcing them to contribute begar for road building, the hill people revolted. Now what the government has done? Government forced the forest dwellers to work for the building of road without paying them money. So this begar, that's the reason why they decided to rebel against the British. The person who came the inspiring figure was Alluri Sitaram Raju. Please write down. Alluri Sitaram Raju was a rebellious leader from Andhra Pradesh. People believed that he is a mystical man with a variety of special powers. He could make correct astrological predictions and heal the people, and he could survive even bullet shots. So Alluri Sitaram Raju, a folk hero of Andhra Pradesh, people believed that Alluri Sitaram Raju had a mystical power and astrological prediction, and he was considered as a superman of that particular area. So Alluri Sitaram Raju led a rebel or the guerrilla warfare movement in Andhra Pradesh. Later British captured him and they of course they killed him, but people still believed that he is an incarnation of God. Raju talked the greatness of Mahatma Gandhi, and he inspired by the non-cooperation movement and persuaded people to wear khadi and give up drinking. Because why give up drinking? Because those days foreign alcohols were sold in India. So Alluri Sitaram Raju requested that stop drinking foreign liquor so that we can stop giving money to the British. So apart from that, Alluri Sitaram Raju also requests the people to wear khadi. Why khadi? Because khadi was a indigenous product, the products which is produced in India. But at the same time, he asserted that India could be liberated only by use of force, not non-violence. The Gudem Hills rebel attacked police station, attempted to kill the British officers, guerrilla warfare technique for achieving Swaraj. Raju was captured and executed in 1924 and he became a folk hero. So Alluri Sitaram Raju was arrested and he was killed in the year 1924. But Alluri Sitaram Raju was considered as one of the great inspiration and folk hero of Andhra Pradesh because people believed that he is an incarnation of God. Okay, so now we completed how the concept of non-cooperation was perceived by the people in the hills, perceived the people in the towns and cities. Now let us understand how people perceived in the tea and coffee plantations. Swaraj in plantations. Workers too had their own understanding of Mahatma Gandhi and the notion of Swaraj. For plantation workers in Assam, freedom meant the right to move freely in and out of confined space which were enclosed. Now you see, the people who work as a laborers in the estates, they felt that freedom is not achieving freedom to the country. For them, their restriction was stopped from going in and around from the estate. So for them, what is freedom? For them, freedom is nothing but freedom to move freely out from the estate. So that is what I said. The concept of Swaraj was assumed differently by the different class of people. Under the Inland Immigration Act, Immigration Movements Act of 1859, the plantation workers were not permitted to leave the tea gardens without permission. So once the plantation workers enter into the tea garden, they were not allowed to move out according to the what is the act? Inland. Inland means within the country. Emigration, movement of people, that is the act of 1859. And in fact, they were rarely given such permission to move out. When they heard non-cooperation movement, thousands of workers defied the authority, left the plantation and headed to home. So they believed that Gandhi Raj was soon arriving. So what is freedom for plantation workers? Freedom, Swaraj for plantation workers is nothing but permission to move freely out from the plantation towards their home, which was denied to the people or plantation workers. They believed that Gandhi Raj was coming and everyone would given the land of their own village. They, however, never reached their destination, stranded on the way, railway and steamer strike. They were caught by the police and brutally beaten up. So the people who felt that the Swaraj is arriving, they started moving. As a result, what happened? They were not reached their destination. They were brutally beaten and taken custody by the police. The vision of these movements were defined by the Congress program. They interpreted the term Swaraj in their own ways, imagining it to be a time when suffering and all troubles would be over. Yet, when tribals chanted Gandhiji's name and raised the slogan demanding Swatantra Bharata, they were also emotionally relating to all India agitation. When they acted in the name of Mahatma Gandhi or linked their movement to the Congress, they were identifying with the movement which went beyond the limits of their immediate locality. So the concept of freedom was different for the different people. And finally, what happened? Finally, the Chauri Chaura incident was responsible for withdrawal of non-cooperation movement. At Chauri Chaura in Gorakhpur, a peaceful demonstration in Bazaar turned into violent clash with the police. Hearing this incident, Mahatma Gandhi called a halt to the non-cooperation movement. So Mahatma Gandhi withdrawn a halt to the non-cooperation movement because of the Chauri Chaura incident. Why Mahatma Gandhi withdrawn? Because the major intention of freedom movement was to fight against the British without taking violence into hand. But when the non-cooperation movement turned into a violence clash, Mahatma Gandhi felt that the very purpose of non-cooperation movement was defeated, so he immediately withdrawn the non-cooperation movement. So please try to understand non-cooperation movement we studied. The non-cooperation movement was pursued differently in the towns, it is pursued differently in the rural areas, that is in the countryside, it pursued differently in the plantations. So Swaraj in plantations, so in a different places it is pursued in a different way. Hope you are able to understand what I explained. Now let us move to the next major topic, that is civil disobedience movement. Non-cooperation movement, the very meaning of non-cooperation clearly explains that not to cooperate with the British. So non-cooperation movement, from non-cooperation movement which was withdrawn in the year 1922, then the next major incident started by Mahatma Gandhi was civil disobedience movement or salt satyagraha in 1930. Now let us study what happened between 1922 to 1930. In February 1922, Mahatma Gandhi decided to withdraw non-cooperation movement. Due to what? Due to Chauri Chaura incident. He felt that movement was turning into violent in many places and satyagrahis need to be properly trained before they would be ready for mass struggle. Within Congress, some leaders were now tried for mass struggle and wanted to participate in the elections of provincial elections councils. They had set by the Government of India Act. They felt that it was important to oppose the British policy within the council, argue for reforms and demonstrate at these councils. So now few felt that instead of fighting outside, better to contest election, and not only contesting election, by contesting election and we can fight against the British in the councils. Now who are the major leaders of this? The major leaders is C.R. Das and Motilal Nehru. C.R. Das, Chittaranjan Das and Motilal Nehru. So Chittaranjan Das and Motilal Nehru started Swaraj Party. Not only started Swaraj Party, and they started arguing that better to contest for election and fight against the British with the council. Younger leaders like Nehru, Subhash Chandra Bose, they demanded for a radical mass agitation for full independence. Now, Gandhiji felt that we should not follow violent method to get the freedom, whereas the leaders like Nehru, Subhash Chandra Bose, young generation of leaders, they felt that we should be more radical. We should be follow more radical and mass agitations so that we can attain the freedom. That is what the feeling of younger generation who were there in the Indian National Congress. In such situation, an internal debate and dissension was two factors again shaped Indian political towards the 1920s. The first was effect of worldwide economic depression. Agriculture prices began to fall from 1926 and collapsed after 1930. As the demand for agriculture goods fell, the exports declined. The peasants found it very difficult to sell their harvest and pay the revenue. By 1930s, the countryside was in turmoil. So, British felt that if they not control the growth of movement, then they felt it is very difficult to control the Indian national movement. Trelawney government of Britain constituted Sir John Simon. So the infamous, whatever it may be, Sir John Simon Commission was set up. The very purpose of Simon Commission was to establish. The very purpose of Simon Commission was to establish reforms which are supposed to adopt in the government of India. So Simon Commission, that is the statutory commission, the Simon Commission was set up in the response of nationalist movement. The commission was to took into functioning of constitutional system and suggest the changes. So Simon Commission was organized to suggest the changes in India. The problem was that the commission did not have single Indian member. Now why you may have heard the popular slogans like "Go back Simon," "Simon go back." Why Indians opposed Simon Commission? Indians opposed Simon Commission because Indians demanded that in the Simon Commission at least few Indians should be the members of commission, because the Simon Commission is arriving in India to suggest reforms to the development of Indians. For the development of India, so Indian members should be there. So, but the British denied the inclusion of Indian members into Simon Commission. That's the reason why Indians opposed Simon Commission. That's the famous slogan of "Go back Simon." When Simon Commission arrived in India in 1928, so please make a note of this. When Simon Commission arrived in India in 1928, it was greeted or it was welcomed by a slogan "Go back Simon." So "Go back Simon" was a slogan in a mark of protest by the Indian National Congress, because the Indian National Congress demanded for inclusion of Indian members into Simon Commission, which was denied by them. All parties including Congress and the Muslim League participated in the demonstrations. So Muslim League participated in the demonstrations, Indian National Congress also participated in the demonstration. In an effort to win over, Viceroy Lord Irwin announced in October 29 a vague offer of dominance status. So Viceroy Lord Irwin tried to patch up and negotiate with Indians. What is the offer he gave? He gave an offer of dominance status to the Indians. For India, an unspecified future and a round table conference to discuss the future constitution. So to discuss about the future constitution, and he promised for the round table conference, Lord Irwin. This did not satisfy the Congress leaders, and the radicals within the Congress led more assertive. So Subhash Chandra Bose and Nehru, they were not happy with the ideas of British. The liberals and moderates were proposing for a constitutional system within the framework of British dominion, gradually lost their influence. In December 1929, under the presidency of Nehru, Lahore session of Indian Congress. So Lahore session of Indian National Congress in the year 1929. Who chaired the Lahore session? Lahore session was chaired by the Nehru. And what was the demand of Lahore session? Lahore session demanded for Purna Swaraj. What is called Purna Swaraj is nothing but complete independence. Now you previous word you see dominant status means partial independence. What is partial independence? Means Indians were allowed to form the government, but the government formed by the British will be under the control of the British. But now the Indian National Congress demanded for complete freedom. That is what we say Purna Swaraj or the full independence. So which session of Indian National Congress demanded for Purna Swaraj? That is Lahore session of Indian National Congress demanded for Purna Swaraj. It was declared 26 January 1930 as celebrated as Independence Day. I told you many times. That's the reason why even though Indian Constitution was ready on 26 November 1949, we took the date of 26. Why we took the date of 26? Because on 26 January 1930, we celebrated as a token, we celebrated our Independence Day, because that's the end of Lahore session of Indian National Congress, and Indian National Congress decided to fight for what? Purna Swaraj. So Mahatma Gandhi had to find a way to relate abstract idea of freedom more concrete issues everyday life. That's the reason why now Gandhi felt that to intensify the freedom struggle, that resulted in the next famous movement, that is about Dandi March or Salt March or Civil Disobedience Movement. Regarding this, we will study in the next class. Thank you.